Welcome back, Middle Age Grind, and today I'm going to go over some topics I've been teasing about the health savings account. And just for a disclaimer, I do not sell health savings account. I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that. This is just my experience and some facts I got off of the websites of the IRS and AI and Fidelity on some of the benefits of having a health savings account. So first off, what is a health savings account? So, and what are the qualifications you need to have a health savings account? First off here, you need to have a health savings account. You need a high deductible health insurance plan. Okay, and there are limitations on what the deductibles are. You can look those up, but pretty much high deductible plans qualify. Okay, and this is an account set up. Okay, and the big benefit of having a health savings account, it's what they call a triple tax benefit. Okay, one, the money you contribute is tax deductible. Two, that money in there, if it does earn anything, grows tax free. And three, when you take out any funds from a health savings account for qualified medical expenses, you can take them out tax and penalty free. As far as I'm aware of, in the lexicon of the American savings and retirement and all that stuff, it's the only product out there, the only vehicle, okay, that has that potential benefit for qualified medical expenses. And I'm going to go over that because that's kind of the topic of this video, is most people don't think realize what they are. So just some highlights about the health savings account. For individuals, this is in 2025, you can contribute up to $4,300. And for families, and from what I gather, it could just be you and your spouse or you and a dependent. That qualifies for family. It's $8,550 in 2025, and 55 and older, you can do an extra $1,000 on top of each one of those things. Okay. And then any money in there after age 65, you can take out without the 20% penalty if it's not qualified medical expenses, but you would still be subject to whatever your ordinary income tax rate was if you would withdraw something that's not a qualified medical expense. But what I'm going to go over here in a little bit is qualified medical expenses are way more things than you probably think, okay? But before that, what you got to remember with a health savings account, a lot of people don't know what it is or what it's about. All it is a vehicle if you have those qualifying things. It's not, you're not buying a specific thing. It's money that goes into an account. And then, like, as an example, I have Fidelity. There's a million different brokers. Fidelity allows you to put the money in stable cash, fixed assets, or brokerage stuff, meaning any type of stocks, ETFs, mutual funds. So it's kind of like an IRA, to where it's, people say, I got an IRA. It's not a product, it's a vehicle. What you have in that IRA, you can have CDs, you can have just a savings account, a mixture of stocks and bonds and that kind of thing. Same thing with an HSA. So it can be used as a vehicle for savings because you have a high deductible savings plan. So what I want to get into now is what are, and this is right off the IRS's website, commonly eligible medical expenses. Okay, so what this means is, what can you withdraw from this account? You don't have to be 65. You could, and they set an example. You can open it up in March and have a qualified medical expense in October and take it out totally penalty free. Okay, so obvious, some of these are going to be kind of obvious, and at the end is going to be some kind of not obvious things. Doctor and hospital visits, including surgeries, exams, and specialists. Prescription medication drugs prescribed by a doctor. Dental and vision care, cleanings, exams, braces. I just had a big one of those, $3,700 for one of my daughters. eyeglasses, contact lenses, vision correction surgery, medical equipment, hearing aids, crutches, wheelchairs, and other devices, therapies, physical therapy, chiropractic care, acupuncture, over-the-counter medications, certain medications with active ingredients such as pain relievers, allergy medications, and cold and flu remedies, preventative care, vaccinations, screenings, and routine checkups, emergency room visits, ambulance services treatments, other services, birth control, sterilizations, and related services. So when I read this, and there's actually some more, it's way more things than you think. It's not just your bills you get for medical stuff. It can be a lot of other expenses. So the key is, if you're saving all these expenses, okay, and they recommend even having, and I do this, I have a file, but even having a shoebox and everything I mentioned, if you have one of these plans, put those receipts in a shoebox, because you can use those expenses when you do take money out of this account as a qualified medical expense to reimburse yourself. You're not being taxed or penalized. And here's the key thing, and it's pretty awesome. And I want to read this to you here. You can reimburse yourself for qualified medical expenses incurred after your HSA was established, even if it was years ago, okay? So I looked up on mine. I established mine. I was a little late in the game. It was December of 2020. So I've had mine almost 5 years. I have a decent amount in there, and without giving you what I have, but I can assure you, I have more qualified medical expenses in that time, okay, than I do in my account. So right now, that balance that I have, that's well over, tens of thousands of dollars, I can tell you that. I can take all of that out tax and penalty free, because I can prove that I've had those medical expenses in that time, and I have the receipts. So I kind of halfway knew this, and I was talking to somebody about it. I was just under the impression you could go back 3 years or 5 years, not from when it's open. So here it was. I took this account out. I was 38. My wife was 37. 30 years from now, we still have this account. If I'm keeping all those expenses and receipts, which I am keeping those expenses, in a box and in safe places, when I go to withdraw money, okay, I can prove that I'm reimbursing myself from expenses that happened years ago. And being from a big family, my wife has an autoimmune condition. Every year we're pretty much hitting that out-of-pocket max, okay? So it's well north. My expenses are well north of $10,000 on an annual basis, typically. And the contribution limits, even for a family right now, is $85.50. They're not even that much. So I can use this triple tax benefit. I don't have to wait till I'm 65 to do it. You can do it in a year, but I've been paying for this stuff out of pocket, and hopefully this HSA can continue to grow in investments and funds and that I have it in. So one day I have a big pile of money sitting there, and most of it won't be subject to penalty or tax. It's kind of like a super Roth, if you think of it in that way. I just want to read this to you here. There's no time limit. Once your HSA is open, you can reimburse yourself for any qualified medical expenses incurred after that date, regardless of how long ago they occurred. Okay? Documentation. You'll need to keep receipts and documentations for each medical expense to prove it was qualified expense and you haven't already deducted it. Okay, so that's the thing. And they recommend, like I say, the shoebox method every year, which I kind of do this anyway. I have a file with all my business receipts, and I just sock away the medical expenses in one of those kind of subsections there. And that's what, even if you don't have a business, they recommend you keep a file of all these receipts. And some of those things I mentioned, it's not only, I went to the doctor, I got a bill for $200, therapies, medical equipment, medicines, dental, preventative, I went over it before, but that's a lot of different varied things, according to this, Tylenol, that kind of stuff. It has pain medicine in there. You can keep that. So I don't think most people are aware of this. I think a lot of people are aware of, of course, you have your 401k. That has its benefits in itself. You got to be taking advantage of the match if you have that. I don't have that. Most people do it, employers. And then IRAs, I think people know traditional Roth, traditional, you take the deduction now, grows tax-free, you pay tax on the back end. Roth, you don't take the deduction now, it grows tax-free, and it's completely tax-free after 59 and a half. But the HSA, the way it's set up, it's kind of the best of both worlds. And people, I think, get confused. Health savings, it has to be in a savings account. No, it does not. It can be, in different funds and whatever. So I wanted to share that with you today. This one took a little bit of research, and I hope you are taking advantage of that, because it could be something. My goal is, I'm 43. I would like to max it, and if you've seen my retirement videos before, come close to maxing it every year. And by the time I'm 65, hopefully there's a few $100,000 sitting in it at that time. And a lot of it, we'll be able to take it out not only penalty free after 65, but completely tax free. So wanted to share this with you today, this HSA video, and I'll see you real soon on the Middle Age Grind.